Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Morning, Luca.
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Morning.
Okay. Okay. Let me have a few people that are joining. Let them in, and we'll start in a second. Today is a good morning, Jonathan. Can you hear me? Yeah. Today we have a special session for you, and thanks to a wonderful Jonathan Ajay that has agreed to join us and to do a deep dive into Cardano and kind of like a practical session on how to interact with the Cardano ecosystem. And it will be I will pass the baton to him in a second. But in the meantime, while he's finishing getting ready, there's a couple of things I want to share with you that I think it was important to concentrate on this week. It's not going to be as long as usual, just a couple of minutes, but I want to share with you. Let me have a look. So something that you might have heard, I mean, it's not maybe not huge news, but it's the start of the snowball effect. Okay, now we have after El Salvador, we now have a second country that has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, that being the Central African Republic. And as I said to you before, it's not just, as I say, this is the cryptocurrency is a movement from the grassroots up. So is not the big innovations will not come from the US, from Europe, or from any other big countries. It's going to come from the little guys like El Salvador, Central African Republic, and so on. So where there was one, there are now two, and there will be more as well. You know, later on in the year, I am sure of that. On other couple of things that are important to concentrate on as well this week. One of them is, this is kind of like interesting. So this is a bipartisan bill to give the Commodity and Futures Association, the Commodity and Future, what's it called? Exchange, you know what, I'm terrible with acronyms, but this Commodity and Futures Trading Commission, authority over crypto exchanges and stable coins. And that kind of like is good news for crypto, because it is moving away from the SEC, which has been very negative towards crypto and trying to stop it every which way they could, and putting it on a par with commodities trading, which is positive because crypto does need some regulation, especially in the stablecoin part. And there is also a special section for stablecoin that can register as a fixed value digital commodity operator, because this is what it is really. And having that extra regulation will also give the crypto industry extra security and legitimization. So it is good news. It's the one part of regulation that is welcomed. And the third part of that I wanted to show you is that Fidelity, which is one of the the biggest asset managers in the world, now is allowing individuals to allocate a portion of their retirement savings to Bitcoin through the company's 401k plan investment. Okay, so again, as I was saying, this is institutions moving into crypto. It is on a small part, but this is kind of big news potentially, because allowing people to invest in investment account, the retirement account in crypto will, could potentially open the floodgates of a lot more liquidity moving into the crypto sphere. So just keep it, short and light for today. Now, where is Jonathan disappeared to? Where are you? Hi, Jonathan.
Yeah, you see me?
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see you.
Yeah.
I couldn't see you.
Technical
So
issues. My
without
computer's ground to a halt this morning, but I'm getting there.
yeah, without further ado, actually, Jonathan, I will give you control of the room. I think you can already share. Yeah, you can share the screen. And also, I've noticed that you arrange as well a question and answer session as well after this session. So for all of those, for those of you that want to know more and I think more in depth, then after we finish this session, Jonathan is holding another event from 9:30. So you can have your feel of Cardano today, okay? Because it's obviously I've been speaking about Cardano ever since I started this room. Obviously, Jonathan has got inside knowledge because he's working as a stake pool operator, and also is one of the Atala Prism pioneers as well, which is the digital identity solution that Cardano has launched. And so he's got very, very good, inside knowledge of that. But also because I do believe that Cardano would offer a different standard in crypto that will soon be taken up more and more. So I think we do need to get familiar with it because it's really important. I think it's really exciting as well for those of us that are already in Cardano and start interacting with the ecosystem. Jonathan, okay, so I better shut up. I'll give you the mic and the screen. So go ahead.
Thanks, Luca. So a bit about me for those who don't know. I run a small web development agency in the UK, in Coventry, and we've been running for about 15 years now. I totted up, which is used to be. But in the last sort of 2 years, I've been looking at moving from a traditional Web 2 company into a Web 3. So that means building out applications that are based on the decentralized web rather than on the internet as we've known it today. And that involves using a blockchain. So it came to looking at what blockchain would be most suitable for building out dApps on. And it became very clear very quickly to me that Cardano was where it's going to be. So I'm going to just basically run through pointers so you can do your own research. If you've got any questions, interrupt me at any time you want in this session as well. And I'll leave you certainly with lots to think about, I hope. So where I started and where I recommend everybody starts is to go to this whiteboard video from Charles Hoskinson. So I'll drop these links into the chat as I go. But this video is a bit of a university lecture, but it comes across, his passion comes across really well. He's the founder of, a co-founder of Ethereum, and is the founder of Cardano, based out of his private company, IOHK, which he started after leaving Ethereum. Cardano has a different approach to most blockchain products. It doesn't move fast, it doesn't move quickly. It goes, well, in relation to other blockchain products, I must say, but it goes at a pace that is based on academic research and thorough investigation and testing before releasing new features. Another video you might really be interested in is this interview with Lex Friedman. Can I get the chat up at the same time? Let me do that.
That's only 5 hours long, isn't it, Jonathan?
Yeah, so the Lex Friedman one is a bit of a marathon. So this is the first one. Where's my? This is the second. So these two videos will fill your boots for a good 8 hours, and get the most out of Charles Hoskinson as an individual. It's really good stuff. It was for me anyway. You might not find it so much. So a few things about the technology involved in Cardano, reasons why I chose it as well. It is the most decentralized blockchain, which means that it's running on more machines, controlled by more different parties than any other blockchain. Perhaps not quite competing with Bitcoin yet, but in terms of layer 3 or generation 3 blockchains that actually allow you to run smart contracts, it is the most decentralized. And smart contracts are what dApps are based on. So you won't get dApps on Bitcoin, but you will get them on Ethereum, on Polkadot, on Cardano, and the rest. So the difference between first gen Bitcoin and third generation Cardano is Cardano is proof of stake. It's similar to Bitcoin in that it uses the EUTXO model, which is a innovation created similar to, I won't even go into it. It's similar to cash in terms of exchanging transactions rather than an account model. So you always have to give away whole chunks of money to get change back in that transaction. And this means that you can really figure out a whole load of new advantages to keeping an exact record of who owes what to whom. So it's very, very powerful in that sense, but it does cause some programming difficulties, challenges that are again, it's slower to build on. It also uses 1/20,000th of the energy of Bitcoin. So it covers the eco accusations against crypto really strongly. And also uses, a huge degree less than Ethereum as well, which is a second generation one. And also competes with speed to a far higher level. So the figures you'll see quoted around never quite take into account the technical abilities of Cardano, but you can really get a huge number of transactions because of this ETXO model. That means that the TPS figure that you see bandied about is never quite correct, because you can get 100 transactions into a single transaction that they count. It's scalable in that, I'll show you this chart. This was a very good one. So in the last 6 months, we launched smart contracts on Cardano, and it launched with very conservative parameters to show its speed. And this green line shows you one of the primary factors in terms of speed scalability. So we started with a 64 kilobyte block size, which is kind of like, think back to your early computing days. You had your 64K Commodore computer. That's how much program you could fit into a single chunk of information that would fit within memory and let you to run a program. And this is a similar sort of thing to the blockchain. You can run 64K in your blocks. That was then increased as demand grew. This blue line is network usage, so how active the network's getting. So there was an increase in the parameters. And then again, more recently, we've had another 2 further increases in parameters to meet the growing network usage. So you can see that they've got scalability built in. And normally in other blockchains, to increase these parameters means a whole load of headache, because you've got every node on the network needs to be informed, every node needs to be prepared. There are often hardware increase requirements that are needed. And there's a whole load of complex code that needs to be updated across the applications that are running on it. With Cardano, they've built in what's called the hard fork combinator. And it means that every major change in coding comes across incredibly smoothly, incredibly quickly to all the nodes on the network. And you can see that here. There's been 0 downtime in all of Cardano's mainnet operations, as opposed to several other issues on other blockchains. I'll pick on Solana because that's an easy target. They are very centralized in that there are only a few nodes running. And when they have a problem on the network, which has happened several times recently, they've been able to coordinate with all the operator network to reboot their machines, basically, to give the network a chance to come back on again. That has never been needed by Cardano, nor it ever will. And frankly, would be impossible with over 3,500 operators on the network. You just can't coordinate that many people to behave the same way at the same time. It's secure as well. So I mentioned Cardano runs from a academic base background. So I've got here a link through to all the research papers that IOHK and 2 universities that work with IOHK have produced since they started work on it 2013, I think it goes back. And several of these papers have been used by other chains to release technology, because Cardano again has approach. We open source as much as we can, as soon as we can. We get it into the hands of other people as soon as it's useful, and it grows the ability of blockchain, of crypto as a whole. So I can't recommend any of these to be read. To be honest, they're very deep unless you're a highly technical academic. If you wanted to glance through one, or one you might hear about, is the Oroboros Protocol, which is Cardano's proof of stake. And that's the one that's really innovative and is being picked up by other projects regularly. Final image just to show the decentralization of the network. You can see here stats on all the individual groups that are running within the stake pool operators network. They've been grouped by single owners, effectively. This isn't fully accurate, as it's done on a human basis. A human goes out and finds the groups, determines what operators are within a group, and matches them. But you can see Binance here is the biggest group compared to the single pool operators group. So I'm part of the single pool operators in that I have no other affiliations. I run my own node with my own tech. Nobody else can shut me down. So that means that's the ideal. That's where you get most decentralization, with lots of operators running their independent operations. Binance is a single private company that could be shut down by governments, local jurisdictions. Their data could be seized, and their operations closed by their governments. And so that's they're very good actors to be, they behave really well within Cardano, and they're holding a whole load of the market cap, but they are a single entity, so they're classed as a single entity, and it goes around listing this. So you can see there are a lot of groups. They do get far smaller as you go around, and finally ending up with single operators. So this shows a decentralization of the network to a good degree. And that's always worth something keeping an eye on, particularly this last figure, 21.8% of single pool operators. That did go down due to consolidation with initial stake pool offerings, but it's come back up, bounced back up again. It jumped back up to 26%, and it's sort of slowly floating between that 20 to 26% ratio. This I just wanted to show you because it's pretty. So this is an illustration of all the nodes on the network and how they're interconnected. So we've got clustering around heavy number of operators in North America and in Europe, but we do have operators in South Africa, Latin America, on all the continents represented, Australia, and quite a few running up through Asia. So it is a fully decentralized network. There's a lot of reliance on the North at the moment, but that's only growing in time. So the thing that got me most about Cardano was that it offers a unique funding model for the development of decentralized applications and other tech based in and around Cardano. So every transaction that happens on the network has a fee attached to it. It's a far smaller fee than you're used to on Ethereum, for example. In Ethereum, it might cost you $20 to do a transaction, optimistically. On Cardano, it'll cost you 0.17 ADA, which is about 10, 20 cents. So it's far cheaper to operate any applications on Cardano than it is on Ethereum. And there are other chains competing. So Solana's very cheap as well. But that's a really good price point. 20% of all those transactions across the whole network. And then with a $60 billion market cap, there's a lot of transactions happening within that. 20% of it's carved off into a treasury that is then used to fund anybody in the world who wants to submit a proposal to Project Catalyst. So you can send in your clever ideas for building out something on Cardano. It goes to a public vote. Everybody who holds more than 500 ADA can vote in those on those proposals. and you can receive funding anywhere between $5 there was an application for, all the way up to I think the largest is in Fund 8. Fund 8 is a $16 million fund. There's one company that is asking for the full $1 million of one of the challenges on Cardano. And in all likelihood, it looks like they'll be funded. They are a layer 2 solution that will build out vast amounts of scalability within Cardano beyond the layer 1. And that, then we'll be really competing with the, million transactions per second that everybody touts about as the impossible target for blockchain. It'll be transacting, at the same pace and beyond of Visa and MasterCard and all these traditional centralized financial networks.
Jonathan, sorry, can I just interrupt you for a second?
Please do.
Have you, do you have anything for those of us that are already registered for Catalyst? Any recommendation for Fund 8?
So I've dropped here a really cool tool built out by a community member that is a pick list of all the projects that I intend to vote for positively. I must say, full disclosure, some of them I'm involved in. So do vote for the ones that I'm in there, which are one in particular is ESG, enterprise compliant staking. That's my personal pet project. And there are others. All of them are really good. So Nft Proof of Authenticity is actually Eric, who's also a Genius U member. He's involved in that project. That's his one. He's working with NFT authenticity tracking. He's also got another one about personal profile pictures being created as NFTs using some AI morphing algorithms that are very cool. And so all these projects I rate. I know the developers behind them. That's how I cast my votes. I need to know the teams or trust their reputation within the network. And I've been in it for 18 months now. So I know a lot of faces, a lot of names. So these good projects to vote for.
I think you're allowed a little plug, doing these things. So you're welcome.
If you want to just explore your own, I would recommend this brand new platform rather than the voting platform itself, which is Cardano's Idea Scale. I would recommend you go to this tool, which is brand new. It's being built out by another team on the Cardano network, developer in the community project. And it's a much friendlier interface with some really good searching criteria and filtering criteria for looking around the projects. So you can do it by person even. So you can click on people. You can say, let's find me. And it will filter on my proposals directly. So that's another really good way of just finding, if you see someone or rate, you see a video of them talking, you want to find out what they're involved in. That's a really good way of doing it. And you can also search by project teams as well. So Gimbal Labs hasn't shown up, but Roberto is a founder of Gimbal Labs. So again, look at any of the projects he's involved in. I can rate all of them. They're extremely, really proficient team. I'm involved in this Grow Dandelion, Grow SPO businesses heavily. And I'm an operator of one of their nodes. It's offline currently, but that's due to surplus of requirements, basically, currently. We're waiting for.
So can I just give a little tip to everybody, because you're sharing a lot of information, Jonathan. So if the easiest way, guys, create a folder in your browser, and just like called Cardano, for example, and save all of these as a what's it called now? As a bookmark.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at it's easy for you to find them later and look them up when you got time.
Really good way. Also within this tool, you can go through to any of these proposals and you can bookmark them directly within this app. So Not that I can see the link to bookmark it currently, but the ability is here as well. And then you can view all your bookmarks from there. There we go. So another useful tip. This voter tool as well does have that ability. That's how I created this list. But the interface isn't quite as slick as the other one. That's because he was restricted by data protection when he built his out. So examples of successful projects on Cardano. Milkameda, Meld, Wing Riders, MinSwap, Cornucopias. All these projects have been built out of Project Catalyst applications. So you can see the success path from small operators, small teams, coming to the community with an idea, getting funding, and then growing into successful self-sustaining enterprises. Milkameda built out the first Ethereum virtual machine, which now means that all your Ethereum tokens and applications even can port very easily over to running on the Cardano blockchain. So that's starting to happen more and more. Wing Riders, they're a decentralized exchange, and they built their technology on top of Milkameda's EVM system. So they're now it's a self-sustaining company, and they've brought Ethereum stablecoins over onto Cardano. So now if you want to trade on Cardano's dexes and exchanges, you can actually hold your holdings in stablecoins. Is it MUSDC and MUSDT, effectively like Tether and USDC. You can hold Cardano equivalents of them with a slightly different name, but they are one-to-one exchangeable with Ethereum's USD. And you can go back and forward between Ethereum and Cardano with any of your tokens as well. So phenomenal interoperability, which is another tenet of blockchain that's really important. Meld, I think we've all heard about, both Luca and I have been involved in that project from very early on. We rate them, very excited what they can do. The most exciting thing is the cashback loan. So you can have a cash loan against your crypto holdings. The technology is not released yet, but it's on the way. They're looking at Q3 now, which is quite exciting. So you may be able to take out a loan in your fiat money because of the collateral you've got in crypto, which just makes it more usable. You can actually be flexible with your holdings then as well. MinSwap is one of the largest decentralized exchanges. It's an automated money maker, and yeah, fully immersed in the community. Really good project, and yeah, second largest whole market cap or total value locked on chain with MinSwap. Cornucopias is a metaverse game or community, and they've got a token on the Binance chain, and now also come through to Ethereum's EVM machine and bridge over to Cardano too. So you can actually hold your Copy tokens on Binance or on Cardano. Again, you've got that interoperability layer, so you can move around wherever you are. You can get your tokens through to Cardano, which is huge. It's very cool, exciting for the future.
And Jonathan, can I just ask you before you move on to the next layer? Since the launch of Milkameda, so have you noticed from the inside, obviously you're working within the community, are there now Ethereum developers, so Ethereum developers that are moving or doing more work with Cardano?
Yeah, I mean, you see it mostly on Twitter because they don't come into the community directly unless they're already aware of Cardano. But you see it on Twitter, it's like, oh, I didn't even know Cardano did NFTs. And it's, oh, they do smart contracts. And then it's actually, they've got a whole ecosystem. They've got an Ethereum virtual machine. I can run Solidity code on Cardano. So there is, increasing acceleration, a snowballing effect of people coming through, the projects coming through. So yeah, I'm expecting it to explode. I really feel that Cardano is the most shorted of the cryptocurrencies, major cryptocurrencies at the moment. There's a lot of skepticism and naysaying in the media, crypto media, as well as mass media. that isn't justified. It's just it's not true, and people are starting to realize. And when that comes back, it's going to explode again. It's exciting times.
Yeah. And also, I don't know, probably you're going to cover it later on in the presentation, but if you haven't already planned it, could you cover as well what's what's going to happen in the Basel hard fork in June?
Yeah, that's going to be a climb up to there, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we'll watch that with bated breath, I think. So other major innovations are happening within Cardano. If you want more examples, we've got Genius Yield, which the primary educator who's run the Prism and Plutus Pioneers courses on Cardano is Lars Brunjes. He's a senior employee of IOHK, IO Global. He's also got a side business, Genius Yield, that he is a founder of, and they're building out automated money making DEX that also has some real innovations in terms of using AI to protect you from impermanent loss. So all you experienced crypto investors who do yield farming, that is a very exciting thing to actually almost reduce your impermanent loss risk to zero, but keep the gains at that sort of level that you're used to seeing. Crazy percentages, 100, 200, 500, 1,000% at times. Serenity Pictures is an NFT project that actually released a full-length feature film as an NFT, and just because it's the first film that's been released on Cardano, I bought into this project, FOMO'd in, and got hold of one. The film is good, it's entertaining. It is an amateur production though, so don't expect Netflix quality. But again, it's a funding model that's really innovative, because you've now got art creation, art funding coming through from community purchasing of their token, of their NFT, rather than relying on production mainstream houses in funding projects. So I was in a room with the I think she's director, yes, of Serenity Pictures, and she was saying that if you sell your film to Netflix, you get 6p per viewing of your film on Netflix. And Netflix own all the rights to it, so you're basically selling your rights to the whole creative process. And to get that 6p, people have to watch the credits right the way end, from start to end. And how many of you watch the credits? I mean, so there is a whole load of creaming off the top that Netflix is doing that's going to be disrupted again by blockchain, by crypto projects innovating, other funding models coming along. And you're already seeing the hit on Netflix share price recently as a result of competition coming up, which is healthy. Netflix is a brilliant platform, almost couldn't live without it now, but it's got to be disrupted, and will be, by projects like that. Lox Inc. is the founder of it has sat on the board of Catalyst Circle, which is like the first problem sensing governance structure within the community on Project Catalyst, that really helped here become an ear to the ground of grassroots problems that people are facing, and getting those back up to decision making. On that circle are Cardano Foundation, which is the charity, the non-profit that's responsible for the treasury, and IOHK, which is the private company that funds the development and build out of the technology. Emergo aren't on that board, although they are considered one of the big three: Cardano Foundation, IOHK, and Emergo. Emergo make the Yoroi wallet, and they were really very big in the early days. Gone a bit quiet now on Cardano, but yeah, decent volume of their products around still. Argos NFTs, another interesting one that's just launched. Again, I work closely with this developer, Giovanni, and it's a machine learning detection tool, early detection tool for NFT fraud. So often you can be like, Cardano had Snoop Dogg turn up on its doors the other month. Snoop Dogg what is launching an NFT collaboration with Claymates, which is an NFT project on Cardano. And Snoop Dogg has been animated in clay, and he's done a video with Charles Hoskinson interview. And they, like, as that was launching, as the Twitter space was going live, I was inundated with spam, with spoof, with fraudulent activity. Looked exactly like the Claymates branding and everything. We're bringing Snoop Dogg quotes into it, turning up in my Discord and my Twitter feed, trying to get me to buy into completely unrelated projects, or even just to steal your crypto. So you have to be very careful out there. You have to really go to source, never click on any links in crypto, type into the websites yourselves. And this service could really help with that. So in Argus NFT, you can put in your references to your NFT that you actually own, or you're looking at buying, the policy ID and the asset ID, and it will tell you whether it's being duplicated anywhere. And so you can see on chain here, all these space buds, which is I think the largest project on Cardano, NFT project on Cardano. You can see this is the real one. It's got the tick, SpaceBud 156, but these 756, 576, these ones are all duplicates, all replicas. Yeah. So the NFT community is young. It is Wild West. There are defraudant actors out there, and this is a tool that can fix the problem with machine learning. And it's built by a very small team of 3 devs. So again, tech that can be built out very quickly by community, motivated by a treasury and by their creativity. Cyberbugs is a play-to-earn game. I know Robin's really interested in play-to-earn. That's another one that's come up recently. That potentially I'm on a waiting list to see if I can actually be given a proportion of their token launch, so I can then issue that as rewards from my stake pool, which is a very exciting prospect.
Should we ape in, Jonathan?
Yeah. This is the beautiful thing, is that there's so many opportunities to get in early on projects, get hold of tokens, particularly in Cardano, that you don't know whether they're going to turn into anything or not, but you don't pay anything to get involved in these. So meld tokens, we just put some of our holdings into meld pools, and we earned off the back of that the meld token, which we'll see where that goes, but I've got good hopes for it. Same with the Cyberbug tokens and Gimbal Labs. They're all being released as rewards tokens for stake pool operators, is one of the way they're being released.
Are these on drip drops right now? I know the Gimbal Labs are, but
Gimbal Labs are, yes. Cyberbugs, I'm not sure if they're released. I think it's exclusive to a small pool alliance, which I'm in. So yeah, they're probably not on any of the drip drops platforms. There's drip drops. There's also vending machine that releases tokens. So there's a few different places you can get ISPO style tokens from community pools, not purely from a single private operator like the Meld ISPO, which is de-risking the threat of centralization that came about through Meld and Sunday Swap ISPO launches. Gimbal Labs are my favorite production team in the Cardano ecosystem. They were born out of Project Catalyst. They're one of the primary education platforms within Catalyst. They are part of the Plutus Pioneers program, and they run Plutus project-based learning applications. So you can, as a developer, you can join Gimbal Labs playground sessions on Tuesdays. You'll hear projects talked about. You can then get involved in those projects directly, the ones you're excited about. And you can be rewarded in pure ADA or in the token itself for the project. So it really is inclusive and encouraging people to collaborate on projects. They're also building out innovative private launches themselves. So they collaborated with Joey's Hot Sauce, which is a chef in the States, who's also a filmmaker. And he had a restaurant that's been featured in a couple of Netflix documentaries. And so he collaborated with Gimbal Labs to produce an NFT tied to a hot sauce limited run. So you could actually buy your hot sauce from the store and actually receive an NFT with it that you can resell on the secondary market. So again, innovation coming through in terms of supply chain tracking, but also pure speculation and what might happen to the price of the NFT that you're holding. Gimbal Labs community token is available on Drip Drops at the moment. That is also available as a reward from Fluid Pool, which is my pool. And yeah, in fact, the volume of tokens that I'll be able to release has just gone up significantly through a conversation last night. So for all you delegators, which I know some of you are already, there'll be extra rewards and more than I could have hoped for. So it's really exciting.
Tell us more. Tell us more. Come on.
Well, the final details and the numbers haven't been worked out. We're collaborating with more pools now to be involved. Currently, it's available from every pool, but a very small amount, or from two pools, which are Peace Pool and Gimbal Pool itself, GMBL. They're the ones that are listed on Drip Drops, and that's now being expanded out. I'm the first one to get expanded out too, but also there's several others in a tokenomics working group for this token that are going to be involved as well. So yeah, the figures are looking good, and the token itself is completely grassroots community-based token. It's got a very broad advisory board, and everybody on it is, I trust, in terms of their attitude towards making sure that this token is distributed far and wide and used to power the community of Cardano, rather than just going to the pockets of an individual. So it's all about decentralization. It's all about spreading the power and the wealth to the edges. It's all very you know, dystopian, defeating attitudes. It's great fun. If you didn't know already, this is what I was touching on earlier about the potential for Cardano. So you can see here, back in 2018, it peaked along with Bitcoin, and then plummeted to do nothing for the crypto winter that happened between 2018 and 2020. A pandemic hit in 2021, where the price started to climb, and then it peaked in this was the fall in the markets, but then the declaration of smart contract releases on Cardano brought a whole load of new people into it, and it absolutely smashed its previous all-time high. And now we've headed into this downturn again, quite a significant one. We've lost 2/3 off the price at the all-time high, but we're bubbling up. We seem to have hit a bit of a floor, which ties in with its previous all-time high from back in 2018. So I don't think we're going to go much below that, although you never know with crypto. But now we've got the second major release, which is as big, really, as this release here. So, you know, this could potentially be a similar curve up again to in terms of a load of inflow of cash into the market cap of Cardano. That's what I'm expecting to see. I think Luca's thinking the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Can you just talk us through then what the Vassal hard fork is and when it's going to happen?
Yeah,
and what it means.
So a couple of significant things. So one of the early adopters and ambassadors for Cardano was a guy called Vasyl Dabov, who died in the last few months, and so the whole hard fork has been named after him. He was a community member as opposed to an employee of IHK, and they've actually taken his name and put it onto the hard fork. The hard fork itself is all about releasing the next tier of scalability and interoperability on Cardano. So within it, there's a particularly significant scalability factor coming in, which will be released with the Vassal hard fork. Now, again, with everything, the adoption of the technology has a lag behind it. So you can see that smart contracts released, and then that it dropped off because the hype had been, this created a bit of a bubble around it, and it dropped off afterwards because there was no instant release of DEXs and smart contracts utility on the chain. Again, synchronizing again, but because we've already got smart contracts, it won't be such as long lag, it will be a case of, okay, now we're able to do things to a far larger degree than before. So within the Vassal hard fork, you've got input endorsers coming shortly afterwards. You've also got pipelining. It's all quite technical and won't be relevant to you unless you're a developer, but it will essentially mean that instead of on chain, we have references. We don't have references currently at the moment to access a transaction, an output of a transaction from another smart contract. So when you are creating a smart contract transaction on chain, you have to have the entirety of it contained within that that block, that parcel of information on chain. Now you'll be able to write your smart contracts so they can actually reference the outputs of other smart contracts, which means you can have a layering of utility that hasn't been possible now. And this will fully replicate what you're capable of on Ethereum, but with none of the risks of that stacking of execution, really. Or it's going to have some risk still, but far reduced risk because of the way that it's been built up. The security approach within it is far greater. Everything's operating on layer 1 as opposed to this functionality being on alternative layers on other chains. So input endorsers are another huge utility increase in that at the moment we have every 20 seconds on Cardano, you have a block being produced. And that's like the sort of heartbeat within the broader heartbeat of the epoch system. So every 5 days, you have rewards paid out from Cardano. And within that, you have every 20 seconds, a block being produced. And so instead of every 20 seconds, a block being produced, you're actually going to have, with input endorsers, you're going to have hundreds, thousands of blocks being produced within that 20-second period. And instead of all the information having to be tied in this block in terms of referencing to the block's contents, so all the transactions, all the smart contract interactions happening within that one block, they're now going to be able to operate in all this flurry of blocks in between that 20-second window. And this primary block will actually be able to reference and control and create the validation and the verification of all those blocks operations within that 20-second period. So it suddenly means that we're going to have far more granular production of blocks on chain, which will blow the roof off the transactions per second capabilities. Even though within each of those transactions, you're going to have hundreds of transactions. So like the Drip Drops platform releases 100 different token transactions within a single transaction. So you can always multiply your TPS figures that are touted around by at least 100 to really get an idea of Cardano's speed and capabilities. So yeah, those are the two major things coming out with the Vassal hard fork in I've forgotten the date of it now. Is it June? End of June, and that will probably see a ramp up in terms of people bringing their holdings over into Cardano from then again. So we're at the bottom, right at the bottom at the moment of where I think we're going to go. So now's a good time to get in if you did want to. Just to verify that against the Bitcoin chart. So you saw Bitcoin skyrocket 2018 and then come back into this crypto winter. So you can see Cardano tracking the same path again. All these altcoins or whatever you want to call them, they all track Bitcoin to date still. But you can see that in the latest tech developments within Cardano, it's outperformed Bitcoin. But again, as Bitcoin either goes into this potential bear market along with stocks and shares and all the other stuff that's going on at the moment, I think actually you'll see Cardano do a rise and maybe a bit of a separation because of the technology releases and because of the success of this previous tech release, major hard fork. So a good time to get in. So with Flupool, chill time, Cardano offers a 5% return on your growth on your holdings annualized. So it's a really stable, safe way of increasing your holdings. It's not high risk, but it's not high reward. 5% is the base of what you're being seen returned from your crypto holdings, in my opinion. It means moving your coins from a centralized exchange to a personally self-sovereign wallet. That'll be Daedalus, Yoroi, Eternal Wallet, Nami, Typhoon. There's a whole load of them now. But it means taking hold of your own keys, taking responsibility for that, and then you can start to get the rewards from the decentralized treasury rather than from Binance's or whoever your centralized exchange, their big offers. So Binance will be able to offer a greater reward because they've got that 11% of the Cardano stake pool operation, and so they harvest all the rewards from all that and then give you a portion of it, and their returns will be far greater than that percentage because they've got so many million billion ADA stacked up in there. But if you want to support decentralization, power to the people, come to a decentralized stake pool operator and get that safe return. You'll also, of course, benefit from the market growth of crypto, of Cardano, that I think we're going to see up to the Vassal hard fork and then beyond. Other things we're involved in, I talked about Gimbal Labs. The Dandelion node operation is about creating all the apps that run, like Wing Riders, like MinSwap. They all run on private servers to an extent. So when you're operating on a decentralized exchange, you're on a private server. So like the problems we've seen with Ethereum, MetaMask, and Infura, which is the big network operator that runs most of MetaMask's operations. You thought MetaMask was a decentralized, fully uncontrolled ecosystem, whereas in fact now, if you're in several countries around the world, you can't use MetaMask by default because it's Infura is privately owned. They're running bulk of the network, and that can be taken away by jurisdictions, by global law. So to combat that, you really need to get onto multiple operators for your wallet operations, for your DEX operations. And so the Dandelion node network is being created by a friend of mine. It's phenomenal tech, and anybody can pick up, with skills, can pick up this open source platform and run a node yourself. So then you can change your wallet to run from whichever node you want. So you can do the same in MetaMask. You can change it from Infura, which is recommended now. And with Dandelion, that's providing that infrastructure that we can do that too within Cardano. The code is open source, so it's well distributed. Really exciting stuff being built, with an eye on the future. Bit of blurb that I'll just dash through on Fluid 7. If you want to check us out further, we've got our website. We've been operating 15 years as a web development company. We donate to we donate any takings from our stake pool. In fact, regardless of a takings from a stake pool, we're donating to B1G1. So if you're a delegated to our network, we'll match the number of days you're delegated to us with funding ICT students in Ethiopia. That's the promise at the moment. So staking with me, you're keeping someone in school with internet and computer access, which I like the idea of. Yeah, load of client history, worked with some big names in the past, and wound up most of that operation to get into blockchain because I see that as a future. That's where I want to go. I'll share these slides with you as well, so you can go through them, find all the links, click it through, do your own research. But please consider joining my Discord server. You can scan that QR code. I'll drop the link into the chat as well. And we also have a Facebook group. You can follow us on Twitter. And if you're a delegated to the pool, we'll also offer discounts on our Fluid typical operations of hosting and web development too. So do come and check me out. So this is the link to my Q&A session, which we run every Friday at 9:30 after Luca's session. Get your time to get a cup of tea and then come and join me for a bit more Cardano action. And that's the event link. No,
Guy, let's all make sure we jump onto this link. Okay, so we'll have an extra prolonged session today.
That's the wrong link. That's probably your link. Let me find the correct one again.
I posted one earlier on. I think I got it from Genius U. But if you got the direct link, I'll put it there.
Okay, yeah, I think that one will work. But yeah, my Discord is playing up. I might just have to restart it. I'll put the link in. So any questions? Yeah.
Jonathan, I think it just very quickly, obviously, because we don't have a ton of time, but can you just the minimum necessary that people will need to do on their system to interact with any dApp on the Cardano ecosystem?
So all the dApps are interacting with these wallets that I talk about. So that means moving from a centralized exchange into your DeFi wallet. Daedalus and Yoroi are the two produced by Yoroi by Emergo, Daedalus by IHK. It's a beast of a bit of software though, so I recommend actually using a community wallet because it's got more functionality than Yoroi has. So Eternal is nailing it at the moment, a really good wallet. And to interact with a dApp with MinSwap, MuesliSwap, all these dexes out there, you need to have one of these wallets. And you will then be able to connect wallet when you go to those sites and attach your wallets. You can have multiple wallets within each of these wallets, multiple accounts within each wallet, choose which one of those actually goes on to be used on the exchanges. And that's the sort of minimum you need to interact. Have I frozen? Am I dead? Am I speaking to myself?
We see your network promise slide.
Okay. Yeah, my machine's frozen, so you're able to hear me still, but I can't click on anything. But
we can see you. We can see you. Obviously, that's stop sharing. Maybe. Yeah.
I've lost my mouse. Even I can't even.
Okay. All right.
You'll probably have to kick me off the call to get rid of me, but
that's all right. No worries. No worries. So shall we open the room now to some questions? Yeah. I know that you've given a lot of information today, so a lot of people will be probably, a bit overwhelmed by the information. But anybody has some question would like to ask? Come on. Say, we don't bite.
Perhaps I did such a good job. You know it all already.
Okay. I mean, if nobody wants to go, can you just very quickly tell us, what is the difference? Because this is, I think, is for me, at least from the way I see it, is one of the real unique selling points of Cardano. But can you explain the difference in DeFi on Cardano as opposed to DeFi on Ethereum? Has it disappeared? He's being kicked out by his connection, probably. Okay, so we'll wait. I think hopefully it will come back on in a minute. But how good was that? I've really loved the Jonathan's presentation, and it's great because we're not just although I like talking about a lot of different things, Jonathan is actually working as a single stake pool operator. So he knows everything that's going on in the Cardano ecosystem. So any inside questions on Cardano is the person to go to. Possibility step-by-step guide for dummies, Pierre. What do you mean guide for what? You feel free to unmute and ask your question if you don't want to type it, because operating in Cardano is is not that different as operating with dApps in Ethereum. So the only difference is that you just have to have a different wallet. You can't use MetaMask. Maria, yeah, sorry, Tim.
Yeah, do you understand how Genius Yield protects against impermanent loss?
I'm not familiar with Genius Yield, no. With Genius Yield, sorry. But I know this is the question I wanted to ask, Jonathan, if he can come back in. Maria was asking how to obtain tokens. So the tokens, there's two ways, obviously. You can buy them on a Cardano decentralized exchange. There's Jonathan back. It's Jonathan back. So you can buy them on a decentralized exchange, like MinSwap, like Jonathan was talking about, for example, Wing Riders or any of these others, or you can get them for free on. There are some platforms on Cardano that give free tokens. I mean, they're not entirely free because you have to pay a little transaction fee, like Drip Drops, for example, where you can put you need to be staking on the Cardano blockchain first, then you can put the address that you use for staking, and you can get some free tokens. So, Jonathan, a question before you were kicked out unceremoniously. We were talking about DeFi, and especially kind of like a lot of us are into DeFi already. Can you just very quickly explain what's the advantage? Because I think this is one of the kind of the USPs of Cardano. What's the difference of DeFi on Cardano as opposed to DeFi on Ethereum, and why it is safer on Cardano?
So the basis of smart contracts on Cardano all come from a functional programming language basis, as opposed to a object-oriented language like Solidity. So there's built within the programming language a whole load of security and measures that means, so if we want to see, for example, all the banking infrastructure, traditional banking infrastructure, uses a Haskell version of code to build out their infrastructure. So like the traditional finance system, Wall Street, the applications that they run are built on top of functional programming languages like Haskell. Because with those languages, you can't compile the code unless it's error checked throughout. So you can't actually produce a running bit of software unless you've actually got everything created well. So technically, it's far more challenging to work with as a developer. And that sort of secure basis from the actual bottom level programming language is where a lot of the stability comes from. So the technology Solidity that Ethereum runs on, for example, is a very, very flexible programming language. It's quite easy to adopt if you're used to developing in something like JavaScript or Python or PHP, because it's far less strict in terms of its operations. With Haskell and Plutus, which is the libraries that IOHK built out that run Haskell, it's got a whole load of restrictions and checks and balances that are done within that. And so just watching workshops within Gimbal Labs of Plutus developers going through trying to implement functionality from early adopters of Plutus, it's a mindset shift. You have to start thinking differently about the way you produce code. And so that means that it's far more, and it's kind of a human thing still. Humans write code. Humans are fallible. There are always going to be bugs in code. But the more difficult it is for the human to write it, the more engaged they have to be in terms of their thought processes, and the more automated checking and testing you can do, the more barriers to entry almost. By nature, the more stable and secure and conservative the development has had to be. And so you get a lot of rigorous proof of good operations within application running on Plutus rather than on Ethereum. So that's where I see the actual benefit to running Cardano code as opposed to Ethereum or variants like that. And that leaves alone the stability and the efficiency of the code that's produced as well. So there's just it almost takes you back to the days of learning assembly to run machine code, and you had to be a superhuman to be able to operate it. So there were people that could read machine code and understand what ones and zeros, there weren't even ones and zeros what that was doing, but that's a skill that's been left behind with programming in the days of the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64 or the BBC Micro. You don't need to do that anymore. You can just use a whole load of libraries and build it with objects. But again, sort of Plutus takes you back down to, okay, let's think functional. Let's think about line by line, what's happening here. Are you doing the right thing? And it holds your hand and forces your hand that way. So it's good.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Tim also was asking a question. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Genius Shield as a project. Right? Saying, how does Genius Shield protects you from impermanent loss? You know, are you familiar with that?
So I'm familiar with it. Do I understand it? It's a different thing. I mean, it's taken me long enough to get my head around impermanent loss, let alone understand how to combat it with a machine learning AI algorithm. So there, I have my skill set, and I'm not quite on the par with Lars Brynjas yet.
Okay, we look at that, to be to be continued. So it's something, Tim, we're gonna have to look into it and then get back to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So was Lars the person that was bouncing around at the Cardano event, just depositing all his Genius Shield cards? Was that him?
No, I think. Oh, actually, no. He may, yeah, and it might have been him, or certainly probably one of his team. But yeah, he is. He's this side of the pond, so he was probably at the summit. He's a good guy, really nice guy.
Met really. For those of you that are near one of the events, whenever they happen, do make an effort to go. They're usually free, so it's really good to take part, and you get to know a lot of these people. A lot of these people that run these projects are normally there. So I met personally. I remember when I went there was that in February? I remember. I think it was. There were all the guys from World Mobile were there in force. So the whole team was there, and it was great to meet them because I had followed the launch of their project, and it was actually, it's nice to be able to chat to the guys and really connect with them and have a beer with them, and and it's a really nice occasion. I think it's different when you really talk to the person rather than just looking at the a computer screen. What they created is you really understand what motivates them, which is at the end of the day, it's the first step in creating anything is having that motivation first.
Yeah, and that's that's the difference that made for me, is that everyone's accessible. So the adoption of me picking Cardano was very much based on relationship and partnership. So it just made it far easier to get involved, because they're accessible in that I can go into weekly rooms, weekly town halls, see the people speak, go into after town hall rooms and actually have discussions with them. They're open to questions and things like that. That just means that it's a really open and collaborative environment. But it's very easy to get in. So yeah, highly recommend working with them. So I've got my link now for the chat. I'll just get that and drop that into for my next session.
Fantastic. So yeah, if you put it in the chat, I have a quick call to make, and then I'll be joining you as well.
Oh, great.
So
can I open for me? Can I open it?
Okay, any other questions before we close this session? Give you time to
Recording in progress.
Oh, sorry. I give you time to get a cup of tea. Michelle, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. Where's the link? It's not in the chat. The Discord for Jonathan's next session.
Okay. No, we'll have to ask Jonathan to at the top of the chat.
Okay. There it is.
Just
Yeah.
got it.
Okay.
Is it the same one? Okay. I'll jump on that too.
Is that the wrong link again?
So that's a 9:30, guys. Okay, so in about 20 minutes.
That's the wrong link again. That is the wrong link.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Sorry.
No, there. That's the one.
Oh, there we
That's
are.
the wrong
Okay.
link.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Jonathan. I'll see you
So-
shortly.
That's live on Discord, okay?
There's on
So-
Discord, yes. So there'll
Yep.
be some technical challenges, I'm sure, getting onto Discord, but I'll walk you through it.
Yeah. So
Persevere.
I think most of you guys are already on Discord, but if you're not, you just need to down quickly. You got 20 minutes to download Discord before jumping onto the call. So any last minute questions, or shall we give you time to refresh and have a cup of tea before? No? Okay. All right, then. I think, Jonathan, I just want to say thank you, because it's been a really great session. And it's nice to get it from the horse's mouth, as you have, obviously you're working within the Cardano ecosystem with your stake pool every day. So it's really invaluable what you share with us today, and the fact that you keep turning up to these events has been really good.
I turn up because I learn every time, Luca. So thanks are reciprocated hugely. It's very useful to have someone who's got an eye on the markets and the innovations, outside of my little bubble, because
Sure.
otherwise I'd be blind to it all. We can't do it all, can we?
No, thank you. But it's been really great. So it's you can get. I'll post the recording as usual. But we will be on the circle. It will be on the Modern Day Investors Facebook group as well. The link is on there, and in our personal private groups as well. Okay, so it's been really great, and I encourage everybody to not just to attend Jonathan's event, but also to join the Fluid Discord channel and the Fluid staking pool. More importantly, so if you have Cardano, you know where to delegate it. Okay. All right.
Perfect. Thank
All
you.
right then, guys. So thanks again for turning up, and I will see you again next Friday. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank